Okay, I'm going to show you really quickly here how to duck anything with anything in Ableton. If you're not familiar with what ducking is, it's basically it's the process of taking one audio signal and using the level from that signal to affect the control of something else. For instance, it's really common in compressors. It's used to, like, you can take the kick drum and push down the volume level. A typical, here, I'll just show you really quickly using just any compressor. So I just take a compressor. If I wanted to take this channel and this on this track here, I'm going to put it on this one right here. Um, right. I have this audio track here. It's like a loop from the Beach Boys. Right. And then I have my kick drum. I want to take the kick drum and control the volume level uh, of the sample. And a very common process would be to sidechain the volume level of the kick drum to the sample, and so then it would be sounding like this. When you take the kick drum and you run it into the side chain of the compressor, it will the compressor will respond to the kick drum, and so you'll see super common. You hear it all the time in pretty much every electronic dance music. But there's a different way to do this, and I'm going to show you a way that you can set the EQ8 to respond to the kick drum in a similar way that you're sidechaining the full volume through the compressor. You can get the EQ8 to respond to the volume, the gain level, like this gain level here, to pump and breathe to the kick drum the same way the compressor is. And then doing it this way is cool because then you're leaving the rest of the signal intact and you're only ducking the frequencies that you're having a problem with, right? So the kick drum and the bass of the sample don't live nicely together in the frequency spectrum, and so when they're playing together, you'll get, like, loud peaks that aren't easy to master, or they don't master well. So the volume of your song at the end of the day may not end up being as loud as you might want it to get, or it might sound muddy or whatever. So here's what I do. So I'm not going to use this compressor. Instead, I'm going to duck this band 2 gain to the I'm going to turn the adaptive EQ off here. I'm going to duck the band 2 gain to the kick drum. And so the first thing I do is I go into Max for Live and I pull up the envelope controller. There's a couple controllers that do this, or the envelope follower. There's the envelope follower, and then there's also the Max API control envelope. This one has different options that the envelope follower have. They're both really cool. I use the envelope follower a little bit more because it has you can port it out to I think like 8 or 10 different connections, whereas the API control envelope follower, this one here, you can only do one. So anyway, I'm going to take this follower and I'm going to stick it right on my kick drum. So now on the kick drum, I have this this signal chain. I got the LinnDrum, I got my drum bus, and at the end, I have my envelope follower, right? And going to, so the way this works is when you hit map, the next control that you move, the follower becomes mapped to it. Okay, so I'm going to hit map, and I'm going to go to this this Beach Boys sample to the control that I want, which is this gain right here. I'm going to move it. So now I have no control over it because in the envelope follower is now mapped to this. And so you have some control over the initial settings of that. So this is your minimum and your maximum value to the response of the signal that is coming into it, right? So at flat level, I want my I want it to be at 50% because or at 0 dB. I want the gain to be at 0 dB when it is not doing anything at all, right? So I'm going to go back over here, and 50% is 0. Halfway up the EQ is 0. Can you hear my daughter playing in the background? It's really cute. Okay. All right. And maximum value. So when the volume comes up into the envelope follower, I want it to push it down. So the maximum value is going to be less than 50%, right? For effect, I'm going to show you here. So the maximum value is at 50%. Now you see EQ, the gain level is at its resting place, which is 50%, which is 0 dB. And when I play, you can see it is now ducking to the kick, just the bass, and then I can, you know, if I wanted to go even further, I can look at the frequencies of the kick and the bass and really tune it to the two frequencies that are really matching each other, right? So like if I go and I take I'm going to take this EQ8 and stick it at the end here. And I'm only going to use this to kind of like look at the signal. And I can see it's peaking up here at around, right in this little meter here, it says about 43 hertz is its loudest part. So knowing that, I could say I want this to rest at 43 hertz, right? And now it's ducking out the loudest signal that the kick drum is giving you. And those two things are going to be kind of forced to live in the same world. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial on how to duck everything.